Good afternoon, welcome to Show Studio, and today we're going to be talking about the Rick Owens Autumn Winter 15 show. We have a large panel here. Larry, if you'd like to start the intros.
Oh God. Hi, my name's Larry. I am from South London, and I guess I just graduated from St Maarten's. I'm now kind of like in my bedroom a lot, making a lot of music. So that's why I'm qualified to speak to you today.
My name's Reba Maybury. I graduated from St Maarten's a year before Larry, and I've been working as the editor at Song Blue magazine for a couple of years now.
I'm Rebecca Gonsalves, and I'm the deputy fashion editor of The Independent.
Hi, I'm Paul. I'm a stylist and photographer and contributor to The New British.
I'm Maarten van der Horst. I have my own label and I work as a menswear stylist and a lecturer.
I'm Daryoush, and I'm the senior editor of Complex UK. So guys, Rick Owens, why are we excited? Rebecca, let's, I feel like you might have, give us some context, give us some Rick Owens context today.
I think Rick is one of those designers where he's just got a real tribe, and it's not an aggressive thing. I think a lot of people don't understand his clothes and think they're too perhaps aggressive, perhaps some would say ugly, but the people who get it just love it, and there's a real family vibe behind the label, behind the people who wear it. It's very accepting of so many different ideas of everything, and I think it's not an uber intellectual label, but there is a lot of thought and a lot of emotion behind it, which I think is what people really like and relate to.
And Paul, you're a Owens fan, right?
Yeah.
What's it mean to you?
For me, it just goes with me at the moment, to be honest. Like, I just find everything very comfortable and very easy and relaxed. And I really like the whole tribal aspect of it. And for me, it just fits. And so far, I haven't been bored with anything that he's done, like in terms of everything that he does, in terms of like the furniture, different projects.
Because
Do you have his furniture?
No.
Oh, I was going to say, wow.
One day.
Because to some extent, you know, like you are quite on brand. Like, you know, you like to post a black and white picture. You like you like wearing black things.
Yeah.
You know, your boots. Like, you know, what? How did you come to that understanding that you know, like I don't know, if I find some vaguely industrial image with, I don't know, a black line in it, I know that you, me and Albon will like it, right on Facebook, right? So how did you come to that conclusion that you are of the Rick Owens tribe?
I think I've been very ever-changing over the years. I've gone from one thing to another. So for me, it was just like a natural growth into now that's my aesthetic, where it wasn't always like that. And it might not be like that in the future, but for now and like the past few years, I'd say that's where it came like organically.
And Reba, you work, you're the editor at Song Blue, and Song Blue, for those who don't know, is a magazine that for 10 years has devoted itself to body modification and tattoo culture and kind of I guess sort of gnarly ideas of beauty, really.
Yeah.
And you and Owens kind of fits into that kind of gnarly scope, right?
Absolutely. I think it's you know, the thing with Rick Owens, it's an alternative idea. It's an alternative lifestyle. It's definitely kind of lifestyle directed, but it's also directly involved with kind of an idea of subculture. You know, it takes all its references from a lot of subculture. Rick Owens as an individual, Michelle Lamy as individuals are kind of very subcultural in their influences, their own lifestyles, and what's happened to them in their own history. So I think that definitely relates to Song Blue in a lot of ways, but it is that kind of alternative beauty. It's not about the mainstream. It's not about the kind of wider culture. It's about something very specific. So I think that's how it kind of relates to the magazine, yeah.
you know, what do you think of Rick Owens?
I mean, he's not making us Uggs.
Because you're almost like Post, right? Because like Owens has been like, you know, he's so key to like everything that men's fashion has been. You know, he's so like at the pinnacle of, you know, what men's fashion is, and everything you wear is sort of almost decidedly not. I mean, this is, you know, like it's almost decidedly not drapey black. Exhibit 1. So
I think the Uggs are very Rick Owens, actually, Daryoush.
So like,
really, are they?
Oh yes.
They're black. But I mean, no, I'm not like a Rick Owens wearer or anything. But I mean, I've always kind of, I like what he does, and I guess him and Michelle, like that like bond that they have. I've always been quite into it, and like what Reba says, the whole fact that it's like a lifestyle brand and not just the clothes or like you see the clothes, but you know there's like a full story behind it. I don't know, it's just a bit more interesting, I think. So that's why maybe I can say I like a bit of Rick Owens.
I think it's certainly an open-minded brand as well, which is very, very attractive. You know, it's you know, with a lot of fashion brands, you're so aware of the people who are buying it, who are probably people you don't have anything in common with. But you know, even if you didn't know, when you see someone wearing Rick Owens, you know you probably have relatively similar political views to them, to some extent. I mean, that's how I feel about it. It's like the kind of whole play on gender and who the Rick Owens man is and who the Rick Owens woman is quite progressive, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Maarten, what's your kind of relationship with Rick?
I
Not
don't
with,
really
not with
have
the
a-
chat, but with the clothes.
I never wore it, and but you know, I respect his cult that he created. I think it's more of a cult. I think he's a very monolithic figure almost, because I do think all the ideas come from him as a person, and I think as a brand, politically speaking as well, it's so progressive and quite radical. And I think it's an example for a lot of independent designers, because I think it's so important to create your own cult. Like we spoke about Walter van Beredonk yesterday, which I think is also a really good example on a much smaller scale, however. You know, to create your own cult, to create your own following. I think people end up actually being quite submissive. I remember my boyfriend sold something on eBay, and this girl came and picked it up, and it was a men's trousers way too big. And she's like, oh, I'll buy it. And I was like, so why? She's like, oh, Rick Owens is my god. And I thought that was the best thing I heard. And I think that really describes how loyal people are. And I don't know, I find the cult very interesting. And I think it's really important. I think in London you see it as well. I think London is very much, like, you know, with Nasir, I think he creates his own cult and therefore also influences a subculture. I think Maarten Kirchhoff as well, which is why it's such a loss that they're not showing anymore, because they have their own cult and their own following, and they can do their own fanzine with, you know, with their own icons. And I think the same goes for Rick Owens.
Larry, when you walked Nasir, it was almost like you were not part of the cult. I mean, you're not a typical Nasir model. You were almost...
I haven't got any muscles, do I?
No, basically.
Yeah.
But you want to.
Only sometimes. I just can't go to
Because you opened the show and it felt like you were almost signifying a change of pace there. Because, you know, that's like you're modest when you come on these panels and go, you know, sort of like... But that's why, because I just love the way you experiment with clothes, and I think that for me is like that's what we should be looking to, people experimenting with clothes. You know, that's interesting, and you seem to, Nasir almost seemed to use you to say, hey, I'm changing things up a little bit.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was. I'm not like the typical Nasir model, but I think. Yeah, that Nasir's collection that just happened, it was very different to like the stuff that he's done. It's a lot more grown up. So I think that it does show that he is trying to like move things differently. Because he's had a lot of like support from like the straight kind of like hood boy, which obviously he would love and like is totally into, but isn't really I guess him or the people that surround him, so I guess he's trying to,
but he's also trying to like challenge his own following. I think that's really important as a designer as well, that you keep, it's almost like nurturing your following or challenging as well, which I think
it has to evolve, it can't keep stagnant.
Yeah, because that's also why I loved the previous season for Rick Owens with all the draping and the deconstructed tailoring. For me, that was one of my favorite collections, but you know, he keeps on challenging the people that buy into his brand as well. But you know, when we talk about political fashion, because I do think that's very off the moment now, because there was a time when no one wanted to speak about politics, but
you can't avoid it now.
Exactly, and also Rick Owens as a brand, the values that he promotes are so important, and you know, I think that's really great that we can talk about politics again, because I think designers turn out to be really great people because their values are really, you know, like Walter van Beirendonck, and the messages that they hide in the collections are actually really relevant and really important. And it's not about money anymore. When people promote London Fashion Week, they say, oh, it generates so much income. But you know, they should be saying, we have designers that actually defy cliches about gender. That's a nice way to promote Fashion Week, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no one does that.
No, well, money
we should
talks,
be doing
right?
that, yeah.
But yeah, no, it is interesting because definitely that political thing, I mean, that definitely part of that is just because it trends. You know, like nothing works on social media better than politics to, you know, to generate chat, which is essentially generating sales. So it's quite funny, this thing that everybody was terrified of, like politics, like, oh my God, you might offend
Look
our
at what
customer
Chanel
base.
did last season, you know, with the feminist protest. It was so superficial, it was so one-dimensional, but did it go completely viral? Did it completely explode? Yes, it did. Like, Karl Lagerfeld had no ambition to actually make a point about anything. It was just a complete spectacle. But it was, like, completely relevant. If you think about how, like, relevant protesting is in our society, you can't turn the news on without some kind of protest happening in the world. Feminism's an obvious thing because it's Women's Wear Week. Let's make some kind of really vapid what are they called? Not billboards, placards, and say something. But that was just using this like term of politics to just get some Instagrams out.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Rick's
the opposite
self-consciously been, well, not self-consciously, but it's, you know, he's buying into his fashion is outsider. And then the problem has been his success to an extent, you know.
Establishment, you mean?
Well, yeah, because he became so dominant and so successful and so loved by you know, the media, and you know, that it almost becomes in danger of not being an outsider look anymore. And then what do you do when your tribe is everybody?
Well, you do the women's wear show we did a couple of seasons ago, the stepping. That's what you do. You know, you do something no one expects, which is like completely compassionate and like a complete performance. That's what you do to keep it alive. You know, you do something with real meaning that people can't avoid and is actually going to really shock people, but it's about people's talent rather than modelling. It's got real substance. And I think that's how you challenge it. You don't just keep on doing the same models walking down the catwalk.
And that's also, he will never be establishment in the sense that everyone really respects him, but not everyone wears it.
It's still too weird for like the mainstream in general.
Yeah, I think it relishes in its own weirdness, and I think it's really important. I think that's the only way to keep it relevant. No.
Rebecca, do you think it's too weird to be mainstream?
No, I think what's interesting are the pieces like his jackets, which have been ripped off by everyone, from high end to high street. But the people who go and buy their, you know, they go and buy their £300 All Saints jacket or their £70 Zara jacket. What's interesting is how many of them know that they're what the source is, because I think, you know, most of them probably don't. They don't understand that he's the seed of all this beautiful kind of softness, and they just think, oh, that looks great, it's a different way. But I think the people that do would say, that do love him and do want to have what he creates rather than a knockoff version of it. It's not about the look, it's about what goes into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I do think he is really influential, just people don't realise it unless they are.
I think he is quite widespread to the masses, to be honest. I think it's really, really exploded over the past couple of years, probably much more than they even expected. And if you actually see like the diversity of the customers that are actually going into the store to buy things. It's really, really varied.
But don't you think Rick Owens is about dissection as well? Because when I say too weird, I kind of mean like you see something on a catwalk and someone who would wear a jacket because they've seen Justin Bieber wear it, you'd be like, oh, I get it. But if they saw a full look, they'd be like, no, that's too out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's clever about Rick Owens. You can dissect what he does and it can become accessible to someone who probably is a bit of a Tory, you know? But actually, if they kind of understood what Rick Owens is about, they'd be horrified, you know?
That's down to the retail then.
Yeah.
Because
but then he's a brilliant retailer as well.
Yeah, because I mean the way Pano styles it,
it
has nothing to do with making it universally understandable.
Yeah.
It's all about
But it's for the show,
Rick.
isn't it?
It's all about Rick's vision.
Yeah, it's uncompromising.
Like it's uncompromising. So it totally trickles down from the retailer, who then makes it more, with their buying, they make it more acceptable for people.
I thought it was interesting before we get to the show, just that it's not really necessarily 100% relevant, but I'm sure you guys will all have quite interesting takes on this. What you were saying about the fashion victim thing.
That's a difficult term, because you can be submissive, but you don't have to be a victim.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't really understand. You don't have to be a fashion victim to be incredibly, to be believing in someone that has an extraordinary vision.
But you see what, because what I find fascinating is there's been a few very good fashion people that I've known in my life sort of go to me almost like, I am going to become totally submissive and I am going to make lots of money. And there's like there's like this thing that passes, like they just go, do you know what? I just want a house and I just want a great job. And also, I think it's like sometimes fashion allows you that relief. Like, I know that anything Cottweiler designs, I will want to wear. So I get to disengage my brain. I don't need to think. I can just go and put it all on. It's a form of relief, and there is a lot of that thing, fashion victim. I'd love to know what you were saying in a minute, Maarten. But like that, I find that really interesting, that actually people don't realise that the idea of submission or victimhood to the force of fashion is amazingly attractive to a lot of people. And then people think of it as, I don't know, I'll frame that out.
Of course it is, because, I mean, we all are interested in unpicking and getting to understand what motivation or what emotion or whatever, but a lot of people just want to be led, and that's why we have jobs, because we're there to kind of be arbiters of taste, if you like, but also just, people want to be not mindlessly led, I don't think, but they want to believe in something and they want it to represent something to them, and then they can, fully give themselves over. But that's not, I think, something that many designers can manage.
What do you mean?
That sort of blind loyalty.
Vuitton does. Vuitton does.
Yeah, but
Absolutely.
I mean that's like a whole lot of money.
No, I say that because on Facebook I saw Vuitton posting a picture of Kim Jones announcing that he would take over the Instagram, and there were so many hateful comments of people making fun of the way Kim looks or the way he was dressed in the photo. And I thought, God, you have no idea.
Wow.
So I do think there are definitely brands when people are following, but they have no idea.
Yeah.
How progressive the creative director actually is.
Do they care?
They probably don't care. No. Anyway, I guess that's the only way to make big money, if you create an audience like that.
Yeah, but that's like, look at Gucci. It's like Gucci wants to sell loads of bags, loads of shoes, loads of belts, loads of, dead
Socks.
exotic animals, basically. So, I mean, the collection that they showed this week, it was such a radical departure, but do you think that is going to stop, some guy in Hong Kong or UAE, dropping 30 grand on one bag just because it makes him feel like he's done well for himself?
Yeah, it's different.
And it's
levels of
different, but I think with Rick it's something it's so much more joined up.
Yeah, I mean, Rick is great. I just was excited to jump on that as a topic, because I think I was thinking about it when the Chanel thing happened, and I was thinking, we don't want to get into it too much, but I was just thinking that one of the elements, he was just trolling to a massive extent, and he was providing tools for people to troll with as well. But he was people actually like what do you call it? A lobotomy. I think people actually do sometimes buy fashion to say I have been lobotomized. Like I think that does happen. I think there are certain labels.
Well, it's like shop therefore I am, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of course, but you also have the complete opposite. You also have people that are independent thinkers and find something that they can relate to and therefore wear their clothes. You know, like we were talking about Bernard Wilhelm yesterday, you know, and me as a teenager, if you're looking for something, obviously we're all looking for something, then all of a sudden you run into someone who has a perspective that you can connect to. You know, it's not like you let someone else do the thinking or do the articulate. Maybe you let someone else do the articulating, and then you join. It's joining. It's not always being submissive. It's joining a movement as well.
Oh yeah. For sure. I just
and then
felt
it doesn't
like
become a fashion victim, does it?
No, you're right. I mean, I just felt like the submission was an element of the conversation that's missing. And but you're right. I mean, with Rick, I feel like you're joining a tribe.
Yeah.
With Larry, as our like resident free radical, like. Are you just like missing a tribe to join? I mean, obviously.
I'm not missing the tribe to join. Hold on, I guess I'm part of a tribe loosely, but it's.
You're part of a nighttime. I mean, I see you. I know if I go to certain places, I will see you. But there's not like mini Larrys everywhere.
Yet.
No. I don't know why that's not happening. No, I'm joking. I don't know. I guess I don't. Yeah, there's not a tribe. I'm not looking for a tribe, and there probably isn't one. I don't know.
Not everyone wants one.
No, absolutely. And I also think
I don't know if I'm. I don't think I'm.
I must just be lonely.
Oh. No, but it's also very
Daryoush.
old-fashioned, isn't it? I mean, consumers have all the power. As we said, you look at a collection, you take parts of it, and you mix it with your own blah blah blah. Because the consumer has the power. There's no more fashion in the sense that fashion used to set out rules. Fashion doesn't set out rules anymore.
But which brings us back to the Rick Owens thing, because in Rick Owens' land, weirdly, even though he always says, I'm just basically into my muscles, like, you know, my fashion is my body, which I think is fantastically amazing thing to say. But actually, you would, in the Rick Owens world, you feel like there are, not in his personal, but in the world of the wearer, you feel like there are rules almost, maybe.
There are, yeah. That's why it's more a cult than a tribe.
Right.
Because a cult is more monolithic, and you have someone beaming down messages, which is good. There's nothing bad about that. As long as you don't kill people. You know, like there's nothing bad about that. And I think it's important because the moment there are rules again, fashion can become much more influential out of the borders of just clothes.
When there are or aren't?
When there are rules. Because when there are no rules, there's no fashion. When the consumer has all the power.
Is this a
there's
Chicks
no
on
more.
Speed song?
Probably. I do live in Berlin, I don't know.
When I went to Ukraine, there was some big posh shop in Ukraine, and they said their most popular label was Rick Owens. And I thought that was interesting because I think we sort of, you know, can sometimes get carried away with this idea that we're like uber progressive in London, but actually not. You know, the only people that can afford fashion are like, you know, presidents and people who own mines and stuff, and yet they're all going off and buying Rick Owens. It's weird. Which I think is interesting because they're obviously.
So is that the fair?
There's a big tattoo culture in Ukraine as well, which kind of wraps into that kind of aesthetic a little bit. I think that kind of gothy, kind of subcultural, but expensive. So you look like you have a lot of money, kind of thing that kind of goes together.
Weird. Beautiful people. Really beautiful. Oh, we have the press release.
Ooh.
One each.
Spoiling us.
Like past the parcel.
Thank you.
So, shall we go through the looks? And I know that we're all aware of a little surprise.
The 6 surprises.
6
Did you
surprises.
Yeah.
Oh, the first sentence is very erotic.
I think you have to read it to people then.
Okay.
Yeah.
The men's
This is a secret.
The men's Fall/Winter 15 Sphinx collection is about compression. It's about pressure built up in silent vessels filled with energy. Inspired by a forgotten black and white French movie set in a military submarine, the mood is about the strain of preserving reason under extreme pressure. This collection fetishizes the nautical peacoat and cable knit sweater. Wow, change of tone. Peacoats are cut in barrel shapes, fitted shapes or flared shapes from hand-woven and custom-dyed Berber wool blankets. Turbo-cabled sweaters are hand-knit in Italy from a chunky but light blend of silk and cashmere. But then things start warping. Peacoats turn upside down, become capes and morph into sweatshirts. The cables in cable-knit sweaters veer over the torso diagonally and delineate the body geometrically before travelling down between the legs to become body bags. Scary. Embroidered and sequined linear patterns reminiscent of the suprematist art movement embellish some pieces, adding a failed attempt at order. The sense of disintegration is emphasised by the looping synths in an exclusive mix by Bames, a new weird track duo from Austin, Texas. Wow, well that's a lot to feel.
Very moody.
So let's look at Moody Street. So I wonder if it's going to remain this lack of colour, because last season there was a lot of colour for Owens. Obviously, it's his autumn.
I like the way
winter.
he always says like he doesn't really need colour in his palettes because there's enough colour in the world. That's what I like. And they changed the venue again for this one, didn't they?
Oh right, do you know
Where
where
was
it
It
is?
was at Palais de Tokyo this time.
So I think there's definitely a sort of emphasis on silent vessels filled with energy, isn't there? And pressure building up. And
I love that number 13, like the upside down coat on the bottom. And I think that they must have done another collaboration with Adidas for the boots. That a little bit of penis showing there on 15.
Oh, here we go. Is that?
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
these the penises?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are penises.
This is the penile section.
Cut off time.
Penal section.
I think one's just balls actually.
it's funny, I can't recall a catwalk runway where I've seen penis before. Whereas I've seen many nipples.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was incredibly chic. But I don't know if it's penis chic.
No, the way
No.
it moves is not very nice, is it? Flaccid penis wobbling around.
I love it. I think it's amazing.
It is funny, isn't it? Because men with huge penises, they walk different. Like, I remember working out in my early 20s what cocksure meant. And I mean, you know, you have a swag. Like,
Yeah.
there's a difference. Men with, you know, they're happier, they're more confident, they do better in their jobs. And like, so much of fashion, essentially, and so much of the world is based around, you know, being terrified of people seeing, you know, your unhuge penis.
Yeah.
It's really quite...
It makes people feel very vulnerable. A flaccid
Super
penis makes
vulnerable.
men feel very, very vulnerable. And I think, you know, there's going to be like a lot of controversy and a lot of talk about having penises showing in this collection, but I just think it's really shouldn't be shocking. You know, I think, you know, if you think about fashion, how often you see an editorial or you see a catwalk or you see a woman's nipples or a bit of
Yeah.
pubic hair, and it's like you know, the difference is like if a woman has a bit of pubic hair or nipples on show on a catwalk, I don't see why that should be any different seeing a flaccid penis. It's, you know, if a woman had her legs open, sprawled open, and a man had an erection, that would be directly very sexual, but I don't see why a flaccid penis should be particularly sexual, because it's not sexual.
No.
It's a bit sad, but also it shouldn't be sad. Like, it should just be, you know,
Should just be, yeah.
50% of the population have a penis. Why are people getting upset about seeing it? It's always there. They're just showing what's
Well,
wrong
we
with
don't
it.
like it because it's messy, right? I mean, it's the same as you know, there's this woman I wrote a piece about years ago who made representations of vulvas, and you know, because there's this idea that it's because it's not regularly shaped, you know, and I think it's the same with the penis. You know, it's sort of, you know, strange looking.
It's an organ.
It's an organ. It's not you know, it's not symmetrical necessarily.
Everyone's
you know.
looks a bit different.
Yeah, everybody's looks a bit different, and it's like, you know, they generally look better when they're ready to do something, and you know, and I think people just they're not comfortable with those bits, and this is a huge, like, the reason why I'm pushing this as a topic is because so much of wearing fashion, I mean, for God's sake, it's in the Bible. It said you realised you were naked and then you wanted to wear clothes, you know. So it's so important to everything, you know, like it's just about this, you know, so much money is spent on because people are embarrassed about their gristly bits.
Well, I think a lot of men aren't really that embarrassed, and they're more embarrassed with other parts of their body. I think society makes women, there's obviously like another huge idea of the spectrum of how society makes women feel bad about their bodies, but men don't have an easy time either. But I think the penis is the last of their worries because they know no one's ever going to see them. You know, like,
But they know it's something that they can't change.
No, that's interesting.
Whereas you can work on, you know, your muscles or grow a beard if you think you're ugly. There's a lot of things you can do.
It's an inherently private thing. Where
It
with a
is,
woman,
but I think
like, you're always aware of how your tits look in like a dress, or like, you know, you're aware of like what society expects, like a woman should like shave down there. But with a man, like, those rules are out the window. So I think it's great that he's got it out.
Yeah, but it's just weird putting it out.
Why is it
because, like, for
weird?
instance, with Jean-Paul Gaultier, when he did the trousers that really put a lot of focus on the crotch, it becomes something more erotic.
But this
As a
isn't
woman, you
erotic.
don't wear something with a cutout and show your tits.
No, but you have like push-up bras, you have clothes that exaggerate
Exactly, but you can do
Yeah.
like a push-up thing for your penis or whatever, for your ass. That exists. Let's not pretend like that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Oh, no, not necessarily. No, but you have, obviously you have that. I think it's a very big difference to show autumn-winter collection and do a little cutout so you can
Yeah.
show your bits. I don't think it's erotic.
What's
No, it's
the-
not erotic.
No, it's
I
not
think it's
erotic. I think
erotic.
it's quite poetic.
But I
and
don't think it
everything.
will be shocking. I don't think people will be like, oh my god, what's happening now?
Well, I think it's shocking because people aren't used to seeing
Yeah.
a flaccid
Yeah.
penis
I don't think it would have
anywhere.
been
let
done
alone-
out of
confusing. For a winter collection, it'd be confusing, wouldn't it?
Well, Nicola did that X-Tube video when he was doing Mugler, didn't he? But that was a decidedly unflaccid penis. But I thought that was interesting, you know. Was it Bill Hicks that did the comedy routine about in the future Coca-Cola would be sold with genitalia? It was too rude to repeat, basically, but you know, it's kind of true. It's sort of funny. So now you've had Nicola use penis, and now Rick Owens is using penis, and soon it'll just be like, buy this, get this penis.
Buy this, get this penis.
But I think the way the clothes have been cut is that, you know, you're not seeing the entirety of the male body, you're just getting little glimpses, and that just doesn't go for the genitals, it goes for the chest, it goes for the arms. Like, the whole collection's about manipulating the male body in a way, and it's all about being in a state of undress. It almost looks like, you know, someone's just like had to pull something on and run out of the house. It's like, I think it's inherently very sexual, this collection, in quite a subtle way. And I think the penis is being shown, it's not like saying, here is my penis, it's just saying this is a side effect of the fact that I've just pulled something on, and it's kind of like, this is and it's an appreciation of the male body. I think it's about saying how beautiful the male body is.
Or taking something
Well,
off. It's
no.
deshabillé.
You don't think so?
No, 'cause
I think
it-
that's how it looks if you don't look at the
Well,
press release, possibly.
Yeah, but Rick Owens has written, you know, let's not
forget about
let's
the,
not contextualize
pressure
this
built
in
up in a
some-
silent vessel with energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Like, let's not-
I think she has a point. Like, definitely. I mean, it's about undressing, getting dressed. That's what I liked about the previous collection as well. The fact that it was this déshabillé almost, but then for men. And by showing the penis, that's kind of like an extreme version of it. Which I
But
think
that's
is a really
not
beautiful
like
way.
no like. I don't mean to be funny, but that's not what the press release says. The press release kind of says it's about building up pressure and you know, it's not about dressing and undressing. It's not about such bougie concepts. It's about pressure. Sorry, I just
That
had
doesn't
to
look like
play
pressure to me.
devil's
That looks like
advocate
they've
there.
had sex, and they've had an affair with someone, they've got to run out of the house and they've put their top
Exactly.
on back to front. Do you know what I mean? Like they've had a shag and they're out the door.
That would
That's
be
what it
great
looks
on
like
the press
anyway.
release.
They've had a shag and they're out the
I mean,
door.
Reba should be writing the press release, that's for sure.
Reba should be
Like, what the hell?
And also these wool looks, I mean, they just look like they're straight out of like the depths of like flicker fetish, like, you know, like real wool fetish, like it's like a baby grow, it's like the wool's so heavy, like I think this collection is so sexual.
Yeah.
Like I think you're right, it's about this kind of energy, but it's also kind of like, you know, the clothes kind of like drape off everyone. There's something poetic about the male bodies that have been cast. It's like a kind of a very gentle masculinity. But then like that, I think those wool onesies are like really perverse. They're really creepy.
Knitted body bag.
Yes. I wouldn't even say it's body bags. It's like, you know, when you see like, I mean, you know, I do a lot of research about fetish, but kind of, you know, the things people make at home and then sell on eBay in really discreet ways, and you look at it, you think it's something very normal, but it's actually filthy. That's what it looks like to me. And also that kind of wool, it reminds me of your granddad. And if this is about sailors, it's kind of like, there's something like, you know, like a seedy caretaker at school about this collection. That's what I thought before I came here anyway, like a kind of like really like something not quite right. There's something a little bit sinister at the same time.
You obviously had a weird caretaker at your school.
No, but do you know what I mean? It's like those kind of like muted colours. There's something about like maybe, I don't know, there's something a bit depressing about those colours. I don't know what's going on with this red here. I mean that.
It's like
Well, he's
I don't know what that looks like to
extremely
me.
drab.
He's also
Like
talked
a
about an
red spot.
attempt to impose order. And I mean, dressing, when you were saying it's about dressing, to be fair, I mean, dressing is a very obvious attempt to impose order, isn't it? Whether, you know, I like, you know, when you look at Karl Lagerfeld's way of dressing, it's an attempt to impose order in an octogenarian body. Or when you look at any tailoring, it's an attempt to impose order on various bulges. Or, you know, when somebody wears a suit, it's an attempt to impose society's order on them, or commercial. So you know, because I guess when the clothes fall off, the you know, the nakedness is there, and that's dangerous or scary, or but maybe
Or vulnerable.
or vulnerable, and maybe that power should be, your naked power would be nicer if that power was out there in, you know, you could carry that swag around with you.
I think there's something about attitude that definitely comes out. And I think that the kind of difference in kind of materials is quite interesting, how you've got some PVC and then you've got like really harsh yarn and kind of, you know, you've got those, you know, like the heavy coats. There's a lot to do with weight in the collection as well, I think, of the clothing, which it definitely comes down to how it kind of falls off the body, but I think that becomes sexual in itself, how something falls off the body and what it's, not just what it's exposing of the skin, but kind of where you feel kind of pulls and tugs on your body, and I think that definitely comes across in this.
It's also nice because they're proper models, they show. No, they're all like from agencies.
Not all of them.
What was the casting
get the
process,
list
do you
out.
think?
Well, Giovanni's modelling and he works for them on the furniture.
But you know, I mean, that you have like agency models and you show their penis, there is something that
Right,
makes
I
it
see.
more human and very approachable.
Well, it's like, well, I mean, human and approachable if they're from an agency.
Oh no, I don't know, there's like, it's not normal people, he's not showing
No.
penis
Yeah.
of like,
But do you think if it was a normal person, they'd be more willing to do it because it's not a serious job for them? For these models, it's a serious job. It's their like bread and butter, and they're having to get
Which
their
is-
penis out. There's something like a little bit more Is it exploiting them in any way, or is it? I mean, I don't know
Maybe
if that
they're
really comes
happy.
into it. Do you think they're happy?
Well, they might.
I don't
be.
think. I don't know how many heterosexual men I know who would be happy like having their flaccid penis for millions of people to see.
Well, it just depends. Some boys are happier than others.
Some are. That's right.
Depends on what it looks like.
But I think surely if it is their job, it's going to be easier for them to make it like just another job. It's part of my job. Whereas if it was just, you know, someone who was street cast, it brings another dimension that's quite interesting about kind of that would perhaps make it a bit more sexual because they might have to have some sort of, you know, either strong confidence in themselves or an interest in that particular, in sharing that.
Or drunk confidence.
Or drunk.
I think it's interesting that you're talking about the way it falls and drapes and opens as to being, I mean, there's been a lot of collections recently that are sort of, you know, over the last year to 18 months that have been trying to create almost new erogenous zones for men. But it's interesting as well because his clothes, when you wear them, there's a lot going on, isn't there? It almost reminds me of when I've read about people talking about Versace, early, like Gianni Versace, women talking about how sexy they felt because the clothes were doing all the right things. And when you wear Rick, you feel that something's going on within the clothes that's kind of changing how things look without, you know, if that makes sense.
His thing's always been about making the clothes work around the body rather than making the body work around the clothes, which I think is really empowering. It's like self-acceptance on a hanger.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is very Vivienne Westwood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, the pulling of fabric. She basically invented that now.
And isn't that more desirable for the consumer as well? It's like, if I wear this, I know I'm going to feel great. It's going to suit me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's no fear of like going into shopping like, that's not going to fit me, that's going to exaggerate this part of my body I don't like. I know I can put it on and it's done.
Well, that's why I guess, you know, for all this chattering, you know, I get asked by students a lot when I'm talking to them about how to review catwalks. They're like, well, how do you know about fit and fabric and stuff like that? And I'm just like, just go to the shop and just try it on. Like, you can't, there's nowhere on the internet I can show you this. Like, you need to go and try it on, because it's only then that you enter the next level of wanting this stuff, where you realise it's not just shape on a screen, it's a completely different thing wearing it. I'm quite intrigued by these weird graphics that are on the clothes as well. It's not, I guess that's the suprematist art, perhaps. Yeah. I can't actually remember what the suprematists did. What was their thing? Can anybody remember? Can anybody remember anybody could look it up for us? Thank you. It's always good. It's like a Google Glass. But so Larry, what are you thinking about this collection?
Not a lot, to be honest. I don't know. It's not really screaming a lot at me. It's not really screaming a lot at me. I don't have a lot to say about it.
No, that's alright. What are you looking for?
I don't know. Something that like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I just feel like I know sometimes he does like he goes off. He does like the extreme, and then sometimes he'll just give you like what he gave you before in a different, I don't know, seam moved a bit, or I don't know. This just seems like it's not that. I guess I'll use the word progressive. For me, I'd say.
I think it's like very retail happy, you know?
Yeah.
There's a safety in the retail of how people are going to kind of want this collection, especially in the jackets and the shoes.
Did we get a Wikipedia?
Suprematism, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, an art movement focused on basic geometric forms such as circles, squares, lines, rectangles, painted in a limited range of colours, founded by Kazimir Malevich in Russia.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
Also refers to an abstract art based upon the supremacy of pure artistic feeling rather than on visual depiction of objects.
Are they two separate things?
No, it's the same thing. It's Malevich, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is Malevich.
Yeah, it is. That's what I thought it was, yeah. And that's about, like, you know, we wanted to make the pure black square. It's that kind of like, that supremacy, that kind of absolute, you know, and I think that definitely with the geometric shapes that makes a lot of sense, and with the colour scheme it makes a lot of sense. It's like there's something very controlled about this collection which definitely relates to.
But that was very Okay.
But I think it's controlled in the sense that you look at these kind of geometric shapes and it makes sense, but then you have the clothes that are kind of falling off. It's that direct kind of contrast between the both.
Because the supremacist, now that we're speaking about Malevich, the key piece is the black square, right? In quite a small frame, and you're meant to be sort of just overawed by this black square. Is there a black square in this collection?
I don't think there is there?
Unless it's the penis.
No, that's exactly the opposite. That's why he's showing the penis.
Why is it the opposite?
Because it's control, and it's about taking over and completely not exploiting the models, but just completely not caring about it.
Yeah, it's like, this is what the collection is, this is the final piece,
and
this
I think
is the art.
obviously that's also why he's showing the penis. He's not doing a little cutout for the penis, it's because he's completely
It's a side effect.
Ignoring it.
Yeah.
Well, and he's spoken in the press release about the fact that you can't impose control, so I guess he's either thinking that the supremacist thing is the underlying nature of all things, or something that he's battling because there is no real control, right? And hence these kind of wild clothes.
It's like abandoning control, a lot of them.
Yeah. It's a battle between control and uncontrol within the... Everybody seems very undecided with their fashion at the moment.
You reckon?
Designer-wise,
Everybody seems to be hedging
Yeah, I think that's very true too.
hedging their bets.
What does that mean?
Well, like they seem to be all their
Trying to do
all their
everything.
collections. Sorry.
They're trying to please everyone and do
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Because they don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's really difficult retail-wise to identify what you're going to do when buyers want the same thing that you did last season because it sold. I guess it's, I don't know. It's who you design for, and how, and also how strong your catwalk collection is, and how much it's linked to your retail collection.
I don't get that at all. And also don't get this idea of confusion from designers. I think they're very strong at the moment. I think we have a very good season in Paris.
Yeah.
I really don't understand the problem myself. And I think
I
it's great that there are outfits that are more focused on retail, because those outfits are always there anyway in the showroom. It's just the fact that he chooses it now so that it becomes part of the narrative of the show. I don't see any confusion.
Yeah, this collection to me doesn't look like he's lost his way or that he's not as focused as he always has been. Like, this to me is just classic Rick.
Yeah.
This collection is like complete focus of anything to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, one of the reasons why I like it so much each time is because I can see so many things that have been reworked from early seasons, and I like that a lot, rather than a designer who might change something completely different look. I do understand to some people how it might get a bit boring and a bit contrived sometimes, but I think that's part of the complication that comes with like building your little cult family that maybe you didn't expect it to be as big as what it is now.
I definitely agree with the results not looking confused.
Yeah.
Where it seemed interesting that he's setting this question rather than providing an answer, you know, that he's saying it's about the battle between control and uncontrol, which is, you know, rather than going for one or the other. Maybe his collection is an answer of that beautifully,
But I think also there seems to be a pattern within the collection. One look kind of resembles something which is kind of a little bit wild, like number 13. The number 12 in a lot of ways seems very controlled. 11 does, and then you'll have another look which is kind of just like a little bit of an explosion, you know? It's like there seems to be a kind of pattern where one look, it kind of goes from one to the other. There's aspects of something a little bit strange under the water going on as well. I mean, what's this print on this kind of white peacoat? It looks like blood.
Yeah, it looks like.
Something a little bit violent about it.
Yeah.
Dirty, like it's been worn. It's very tactile. It's very, very human. You might just spread your hands on something. It's kind of it wants to be worn. It wants to be touched. But that's what all the clothes are. You know, the jackets that kind of look like they're upside down. It's kind of when you see the model wearing it, you just think about how someone's put it on. And I think it's interesting to have that relationship with clothes where when you see a model just walking down the runway and everything's perfect, this isn't about perfection, but at the same time it is, and I think that's what's interesting about it. There's something so perfect, so controlled, so focused, but then it's kind of something a little bit perverted, you know?
Well, polish has never been his thing, has it?
No.
Yeah.
Then there are elements of it being very polished as well, and that's what's interesting.
Also, it's unpolished, but for instance, if you have like the more challenging outfits with the asymmetric draping, it's just like when you shoot clothes from Rick, you know, some looks you can't mix with other designers.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's less polished. I think it's just as polished. He just really values experiment and challenges his market, his niche. I don't think there's a lack of polish, or I don't think there's no polish at the weirder things. I think it's very directional and just very confident.
Maybe I mean gloss. Yeah. What Rebecca, what do you think of this collection overall?
I think it's interesting. I think it's strong. I don't really see some of the things that are said in here in this notes, but he knows what he's doing and who he's doing it for, and I'm sure that his customer will love it. I think it's always interesting to see how it will relate to his women's wear as well, because the two they're not, you know, twins, but they are related.
Yeah.
And I think his women's wear is so beautiful. Like last season was amazing, and it was quite a radical departure. So yeah, I'm interested to see and whether we'll have cutout vaginas.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That would be quite shocking. Larry, just closing comments from you. What's your summary?
Well done,
We're all
Rick.
going to do them.
Well
don't
done,
worry.
Rick Owens.
They don't have to be. They don't have to be definitive.
Okay. I'm like not a Rick Owens fan. I see the collection. Well done for getting another one.
What do you think?
Good for you.
What do you think to the sort of idea of these various bits of? I mean, I've seen you, right, DJing in like a spaghetti top.
Yeah.
So you're quite keen on, you know, strange bits of the male body on show.
Yeah, I think definitely like get it all out. The penis bits I'm into. I like that it is subtle and it's not just show it. It's not. He's not the type to be like, I want to show penises. It is very like, fuck it, the penis is out. We can't, like, it's too short. It's nice, like whatever. Just that little gap. I think that's good. But menswear does kind of have to. It is kind of moving there. Everyone's trying to show a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Lots of nipples.
Lots of nipples. Bit of a booty crack. If it's cute. But no, I think it's kind of going there. You do want to show a bit. So yeah, props to him.
Reba?
I think you know what was really nice and refreshing about this show is that we're so used to seeing nudity in women in fashion, and we don't question it. It's so normalised. And as a heterosexual woman, I think it's really lovely to be able to appreciate the male body a different way. And that's not necessarily because we saw the penis, but it's because it's a part of the human body. It's a part of the male body, and it's not sexualised. But I mean, as I said before, I think there's something quite poetic and beautiful about seeing a man in that light in fashion, and just that alone kind of did it for me, I think. And it's just a different gaze to see a man that way, and I think that's lovely.
Should we do you? Thank you, Rebecca. You can do it again if you like. Paul?
Yeah, I don't connect a lot of what it says in the press release in what I saw, but that to me isn't so important. I don't really care about that. I mean, I'm more interested in what I see rather than knowing so much about it anyway. But
as an Owens fan, do you find do you want this?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to sound like a complete twat, but when I watched the live stream at 12 o'clock, I didn't see one thing that I didn't like. Which actually I usually do see a couple of bits that I don't like. But I would have really loved for him to come out with his cock out at the end. I think, no, honestly, I think that would have been such a beautiful message. And also when I heard the other day that it was going to be called Sphinx, I did quite hope for at least one boy to have some Greta Garbo eyebrows, so I was a little bit disappointed with that. But
We didn't talk about the name, did we?
We didn't talk about
That's
Sphinx.
what he calls
no.
Michelle, isn't
exactly, yeah. Which is why, again, that's confused me a bit.
So maybe this is her idealised.
Oh, and I loved the music. I thought the music was really, really good.
Okay. Maarten, give us a long, sonorous summary.
No, I just think the press release completely ruined it for me. I think it's a collection that will appeal to people on the emotional, on the gut level. And I think that's my favorite kind of Rick Owens. So I think it's a great season.
Why were the clothes great?
Because they spoke to me on more of an emotional level, in the sense that I think he's exploring erotic codes with men that I find really interesting. I do like seeing the process of designers, so talking about when is a garment finished, when is it unfinished. I really appreciate that when designers do that. And yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
All right. Thank you very, very, very much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daryoush.
Hey.
Hey.